explain the big one.
You're live.
Yeah.
To give everybody a heads up.
And
Yeah.
first
Hi.
lady.
Hello, how are you? Good, how are you?
Yeah.
Hello,
Yeah, this big today. Last one we got was a little bit wet. Yeah, well, that is heavier. It was heavier, yeah.
I've shoveled it all right back.
How's everybody?
The advice that medical people live over 40-year-olds. Usually you're not, that's always over 40.
Yeah. Sign trees or carrots, plans,
yeah. Here if you want. No, I.
One of those was
Yeah, there's water.
And I asked, Sarah, she said she would
So I gotta have fishing in, so I stay busy. And then the regulation was slow. Ramping up, dialing it everything in, which is April, May, June, July, core of my year. So hopefully by the time we get to May, you guys won't see me for a month or so, because I'll be in full force.
You thinking that we hope we can see you? You know, Tom, we don't feel that way about it. We have no negative feelings there. Or you're hoping you don't see us? I won't take it personally. I know you prefer those.
Yeah, that's where I would camp, just north of Roscoe. Okay, where about in Roscoe?
I think it's 7.
By Tanana or the other side of 17?
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. Welcome everyone to this Wednesday, February 25th, Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for the Village of Pawling. Let's do a roll call, please, Amanda.
Sure, we have Chairman Nicholas Worley,
Here?
Member Tom Zarecki,
Here?
Member Fred DeVito,
Here.
and Member Danielle Anderson. Here.
All right. Will you all please join me for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first thing we're going to do on tonight's agenda is approve our minutes from the November 19th and the January 27th. I'm sorry, the January 7th meeting. I've read the minutes and they look good to me. Are the board members comfortable with voting to approve the minutes from those two meetings?
Yes.
Now, I wasn't here, so am I okay with the vote?
As long as you read them and agree them to be true.
Yeah, okay.
All right, and we would have a quorum anyhow, because we have 4 of us here, so that'd be okay, but yes. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the November 19th, 2025, and the January 7th special meeting, 2026?
Motion.
All right, can I have a second?
A second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion has been approved to approve those minutes. First meeting, the first thing on our agenda is 48 East Main Street, presented to us by Kurt Johnson. Tonight, Kurt has a double header.
Yes, lucky me.
Welcome, Kurt.
Thank you.
Let's see what you got going on here.
Okay, so basically, we have the site that is at the corner of Spring Street and East Main Street. There's currently a 3-story Victorian house on that. Contains 5 residential units currently.
It's that blue exterior home,
Yes,
right?
and there's various colors. I think
Oh,
the
is
sign
it?
might be white, but
Okay.
anyway, but yeah, I think it does have some blue on it. So, just give you an idea. This is actually the survey, so that shows you where the building is here on the property. We have another structure here off-site. Julian Stewart's office is here. The Baptist church is up here. So what we're proposing to do is demolish the building and construct a 3-story building there for 15 residential units, 1-bedroom units in there.
And there are how many now? You said 4? 5, okay.
So a net increase of 10. So this, since it's a redevelopment in the B1 zone district, it's just under half an acre, 0.43 acres into the B1 zone. This does fall under the requirements of complying with the urban regulations. So this being slightly on the fringe, we'll call it, of the downtown center of the village. So typically in the downtown center here, we have a little bit more rectilinear lots, more organized. Once we start kind of spreading out from the village, the lots get a little bit different, and I think the general qualities of the site are slightly different than they are right in the downtown core. So this is kind of as we're going out towards Pawling, which is the edge of the B1 district. So it does have some interesting characteristics for this site here. So strict compliance with the urban regulations are somewhat difficult up here. One being the urban regulations require you to be building right on the property line, 0 feet. So that would require this building to be placed here. So that pretty much is virtually impossible. Also, we have grade issues because this is higher here. It flattens out for the majority of the site, but it drops off this way and
that's,
that way. So, and also we have a site distance issue here because if you put a building right in the corner, you really can't see what's coming up East Main Street. So, working with the planning board, we had originally proposed, if you can see in red here, that's the original thing we were going for with the planning board. Try to bring it as close to the road as possible. So in discussions with them, they kind of felt that maybe we could look at that a different way and see if we could maybe change the building orientation and its location slightly. So consensus with the planning board was actually this shaded area here to kind of pull it back from the road a little bit, to open this up, view shed as you're coming, going north on East Main Street, so you'll see the church in the distance here. And I think that this affords us also the opportunity, we have a line of mature trees on this side, to actually plant trees here to kind of make an LA coming into the village. So I think it'd be quite nice rather than having residential apartments that are right on the road. So we would need a variance to allow this building actually not be placed right on the property line, pull it back to this location. In addition to that, you have to do a full build out of the property, 90%. So that would require 90% of this frontage would have to have building.
And that would be frontage on Spring Street as well as East Main by the current regulations.
So there's a lot of building that would need to be there. So
Yes.
we're proposing not to do that, to create this building here. And hand in hand with that, there's also an absence of that build out, the requirement for constructing garden walls. So if we build garden walls on the property line here, it really doesn't serve a whole lot of purpose on the road. That's the existing edge of the pavement right now, so it's very close. There'd be really nowhere to put snow if you were plowing. You would hit a wall. So I don't think it's appropriate here. There's no other walls except for Pawling Commons, and that's an old wall and basically was there because of retaining. It kind of keeps the grade back. We don't consider it would be a wall just sticking out the ground.
Right. And normally these walls, from what I understand, are just to kind of keep a consistent sight line with other buildings that are adjacent, that are already complying to the frontage requirements.
And then the last variance, we're kind of doing it preemptively. Right now, we have, for the current zoning regulations, 15 units here requires 15 parking spaces. We have 19 we're showing on the lot right now. So we're in the process with the planning board going through that. And it's come to our attention that the village is considering changing the zoning code to require 1.5 parking spaces for residential units. So that would require us to have 23 here. So we are shy 4 spaces. And the intent, so we do comply, we're actually providing additional to what is currently required by the zoning regulations.
Right.
As we move forward. So the intent is to provide 1 designated parking spot on the site for each unit. So with a lease, you would get a parking spot. So that would be 15. And then we have 4 additional for visitors or overflow parking or anything like that. So that's what we're doing. And actually, we looked at the Institute of Traffic Engineers studies for buildings similar to this. The only caveat was it's not close to public transportation rail transit system, which we are, which actually I would think would reduce possibly the parking requirement. And when we do the numbers on that, it requires 19 parking spaces. So we are in compliance with kind of the standard in the industry for parking.
Okay. That, I just want to ask a little question here to interrupt if you don't mind. That line that you have on the far right of the parking spaces, is that the property line? Is that a retaining wall? What is?
This is all flat here, so that's the property line.
Okay.
We would be putting a fence and vegetative screening along these
Okay.
sides here.
Quick question, because we were just talking about snow and why a retaining wall along the front of the property of East Main wouldn't really work well for plowing because there'd be nowhere for the snow to go. But I'm looking at the building, I'm looking at the parking. We've had a lot of snow dumped on us the last few weeks. It doesn't look like there's much room behind that, to the back of that lot or to the other property line without putting snow on that other property, which we'd like to avoid, obviously. Where do you see, 2 feet of snow being pushed right now with the current configuration? Because it would have to go somewhere and not back into the streets.
And I think in a lot of these situations, we have to work with whoever's taking care of the snow to actually get it outside or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Truck it out of there.
Generally, in the site plan review, if they can't accommodate it on site, it goes as a note on the plan that can be enforced that it has to be removed from the site by the
Okay.
contractor.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can't diminish parking spaces, so if it comes to a point
Wonderful.
where we get a lot of snow, they're gonna have to get it out of there.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you for covering that question for me. I appreciate it.
So, that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Okay.
Do you have a building height that you're
We're
going to shoot
less,
for?
we're below the building, we're allowed building height, because we're allowed 50 feet right now, so I think we're about 38 feet,
Okay.
so we're below that. So this doesn't show any trees in here, but we would try to replicate the idea of an alley of trees along here to kind of, again, reinforce that idea coming into the village and creating that edge.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of tree would be suitable?
Probably an oak or maple or something like that, because I think that's what we have on the other side. I mean, obviously those are a lot longer than this would be, but something that was to grow and kind of replicate it on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There's
Great.
enough space?
Yeah, I mean, we have.
Probably in that area
We have
more,
probably
yeah.
a couple
Yeah.
here.
Maybe in the front.
here,
Okay,
it may
Just
not
curious.
be a line of trees,
Yeah,
but you get
okay.
the idea of.
yeah,
Right.
gotcha.
All right, great.
Now, one thing that I will mention about that site there, as you guys are residents of the town or, drive through a lot, often you don't notice that house. Even, Nicholas mentioned, he said, oh, that house is blue. But it's an afterthought. But one part of that building which is special is that it doesn't stick out, and it doesn't, even though it is a large structure, I don't know what exactly in square footage compared to what's getting built here, but it's a significant building, and part of that, why it fits in, is its character, and a little bit of the Victorian sense is something that's been with Pawling for probably 100 years. And so part of that style is important to capture in that development of this new corner here. Next is inevitably Duchess Auto and building up that corner there. And for it to tell a story of what Pawling is and its character and its humble character. When we look at the Riley's garage, that was something that was special because it was cleaning up something that was disgusting. It was an eyesore and it was a very difficult lot to build. So we had to give some grace to what its aesthetics and what it was because of what it could actually fit. This site in particular affords a little bit more creative opportunity. Although, yeah, we don't have space, we're trying to squeeze in parking and whatnot, but in terms of creating the character of the building, we don't want, the downtown. So blending that, obviously these are some massing, models. But, just, I don't need to tell you of that realm, but it looks big. And although
It will be big.
of course, and although I'm very pro commons development, and that sits outside of you know, piece, but bringing that in, you know, would have it at least something like, you know, the Tomasetti property. This looks kind of Hunter Mountain, like lodge aesthetic.
I think it's going to be very, as it's presented, we were trying to do a different color slightly on this, but it would replicate kind of the idea of the building that we have on Pawling Commons now that we built. It's similar to that. That's 15 units.
Yeah.
So it would be similar in size and scale of that building down on this side.
Yep.
So it's kind of like we pick up those pieces as we come down, and you'll see it on the, you know, the left, on the right as you come down the street, there'd be similar buildings.
I do agree with you, Tom, though, that a Victorian style, some Victorian style elements would fit in better there. There are a lot of residences. I know that's the B1 zone, but it's surrounded by a residence just north on East Main. It's surrounded by residents behind it on Spring Street and across the street on Spring Street. Some of those are apartments, but they are residences. And you're right, the Victorian style of buildings, which has been here since the 18-somethings, is pretty common. It would be nice if there were some Victorian style elements added to the structure.
I mean,
Yeah.
Julian Stewart's building, I think, is somewhat more like, maybe a little more craftsman style.
Yeah.
Building. So, you know, we can pick up on details of that, of course.
I mean, I think it would just add something to it and make it feel like it fits more in the village. Even if this kind of fits with the Pawling Commons character, that's kind of set back and around a bend, but it won't really fit as well in the space where it currently is going to be unless it picked up some of the architectural details of some of the nearby homes. I agree with you on that.
I mean, it's just,
It's a
for
good
me,
point.
and the tree planting is gonna provide a buffer, and I'm not familiar enough with the plans enough to know if, you know, those are the back sides of the unit and the build, you know, how that side will read.
Yeah, those are actually, so the parking is all here. It's a central corridor basically here flanked by apartments. So this would be, windows for the apartment would be all this.
Mhm. And then there's a creek in the back of the lot, I believe.
That's way over here.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
No, it's a couple lots over, right.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, that's just, that was my feeling, is just, I really think the Pawling Commons property is, for what it is, to put together a project like that and develop that lot. There's gonna be some, you know, and with what's available to do the construction and what's familiar, that's working out well. And just, you know, a little less of like walls of siding and filler, you know, but no, I like the idea of working with that project. And then when I originally heard of it, I thought it was just a renovation, you know, and I said, oh, I hope they hope to keep the character of that style, you know, just because it tells a story instead of Pawling was created in 2026. But that's development, and we got to all adjust with change, and change is inevitable. So I'm sure there's going to be a happy medium we'll find.
And I will say that the site plan needs to be further developed, because we had done somewhat complete site plan for this with the other layout. And then at the last meeting, I think there was some discussion with the planning board. We said, how about we look at it this way? And I don't think it was a bad discussion. I think it actually, when we looked at it, I think for this site in particular, I think it kind of works better. So we need to just kind of get our site based on that, and if we get some kind of positive feedback here, we can go ahead with that site plan for the developed landscaping. And that's actually what we need to do.
All right, great.
Can
Thank
you
you.
just explain again the parking variance that you're looking at,
Okay.
what you're proposing?
So if we're looking at it today, we meet the zoning code and have extra spaces.
Okay.
There's one per unit, so 15, we have 19, so we have extra. But as we're going through this, it sounds like the zoning code will change. So we're trying to preemptively get ahead of that and say, you might want to consider a variance this to allow us to have the 19 spaces for this use.
Right. Yeah, the village board has proposed a minimum 1.5 spaces per unit, I think it was,
Yes.
Karen?
That's what I heard.
And they have submitted those desires, I guess, to the county. The county has a certain amount of time to respond to, I guess, give their nod to it before it becomes a law. Chances are it probably will become law. Karen has told me that this is based on ITE studies, which is the International Traffic Engineers. Did I remember that right? No, totally wrong.
No,
Correct me.
I'm sorry, I wasn't involved in the preparation of
Oh, okay,
the zoning law or any environmental review.
okay.
I think I did mention that there is the ITE Institute of Traffic Engineers
Right,
Parking Generation Manual.
got it.
And that is a manual that does studies of all sorts of different types of, not a manual, it's the Institute of Engineers that does studies of all different types of land uses.
Right,
And as Kurt cited in his review, what he provided, low-rise buildings, and that's defined, of a similar type. They did a study of several different locations, and, they provide an average rate. They provide a 33rd percentile rate and 85th percentile rate. 85th percentile rate is considered the most conservative, using that rate, which is 1.27 per dwelling unit. And this takes into consideration visitors, number of tenants in a one-bedroom, this is specific for one-bedroom apartments.
right,
That rate was 1.27. So that is lower than the 1.5.
got it.
There you have it.
All right.
And
So anyhow, the county has got to,
19, so it does happen to comply, or it shows that per that study,
right,
this would be the required parking based on that study.
got it.
The question I have is that can we grant a variance on something that hasn't been approved?
No, we're going to have to hold off on a public hearing, and we're going to have to hold off to see what happens with that law and if it becomes local law and part of our zoning code. Once it becomes part of the zoning code, then there will be another variance needed for the parking specifically that will have to come before the board for a vote.
Yeah, the public hearing holdup is that we can't advertise
Right.
the accurate
And-
list.
Yeah, until we have all
Yeah.
the information.
Yeah,
In between, we're in the gray zone.
But we still have to have our public hearing, I believe, with the planning board in order to do their secret determination on this, right? Can you do that?
a public hearing isn't required for seeker unless you're in an environmental impact statement.
Okay,
The public hearing is required for the site plan.
okay.
So,
I just want to get ahead of that with the planning board, so
Right.
you can act when you're ready after the public hearing.
Sure, sure.
well, until we know all of the variances are in play, because the lead agency for seeker is the planning board. I think until we have clarity on that, they can't make a secret, I would not advise a secret determination.
Yeah,
Right,
So,
until we know what that.
but we understand, I mean, we're trying to
yeah, we're
move
just
it
kinda
along as
stuck.
much as we can, yeah.
But just general thoughts from this board tonight, no decisions obviously, but just general thoughts on the variances being requested as they apply to this site. Is there anything glaring that you see as,
I think that the rotation of the building that the planning board has encouraged you to do is a good idea. I think it gives a little bit more visibility down the East Main. Gives a little more village to the church and the steeple, as some people have also brought up. I think it's a better position. I think that the requirements that are currently part of our code that mean that the building has to be right up against that property line and the street really doesn't fit at all with the surroundings. And following the code of the law there, I think, would not be wise, and it would not look right. That's one of the variance things, the parking things, the garden wall also. That to me isn't a big deal. I feel like that is usually to continue a sight line with other similar buildings on all sides. There are no other buildings on all the other sides that meet that criteria now, because this is a residence and there are residents around it, even though it's in a B1 zone. I guess we'll just have to wait to see on the parking. It looks like you've tried to address the parking as well as you can. We'll have to see what happens with the local law.
are there thoughts on the parking issue as a variance from this board? again, I won't hold anyone to it, but it's
No, no,
just
no.
to get a feel if, you know,
I'm
if
look-
we're in the realm of reality.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lot here, and I'm not sure how you could squeeze any more spaces
Yeah,
into
sure.
that
No.
area unless you change the design of your building, which obviously is a possibility. I don't quite know how I feel on that yet, Kurt, and I'm not trying to be coy.
I understand, just to get an understanding.
Yeah.
Because basically we require loss of units.
Right.
So then the owner has, you know, he's got a business model and if it
Right,
works,
right,
it
he has to
doesn't
figure
work.
out the benefit
It kind of
ratio.
meshes now. but-
Sure, sure. And that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear from the other board members on what you all think about.
You're right on point there, Nicholas. Are you guys required to build out a sidewalk on that side of the road, or?
Okay, so that's discussion with the board, with the planning board on the sidewalk. Right now, it doesn't really show on here, but there's a full sidewalk system that goes on this side of these.
Yeah.
So our thought is we would create sidewalk that would come up Spring Street here,
Yeah.
come to a point here, go across a crosswalk to connect.
Okay.
Because this really, you can't get past this point because,
No.
and this is right on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and then you get to Johnny's, which is no man's land. So it's like,
Right.
there's really no space to walk into the village on that side of the street. So I think it makes sense to bring people here, safely get them across a crosswalk into this, and then they can walk into the village.
Right.
that sounds like a
Does
good
that-
design.
Does that allow you any opportunity to accommodate off-street park, like at least 2 spots on Spring Street, if you were to develop into your lot a little bit to bring the sidewalk with maybe 2 street spots?
I don't know what the planning board would feel of putting
Because if you're gonna turn that,
parking. Yeah, understood.
I mean, if you were willing to take it into your lot, I mean, I'm not so familiar of the scale of what, you know, a street parking spot would fill up on that, but I don't know, just
Yeah, I just don't know in this terms of, on this site, since this is kind of new development here, what the feeling would be about utilizing the travel path as kind of your back in and out of parallel parking spaces.
You only have, what, like 28 feet there or something like that?
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, 2811 or something?
Okay,
That's 25, yeah.
Yeah,
This is-
so.
Yeah, it's not much.
So there's really not a lot of space there.
No,
And again, you're right at the intersection.
No, you wanna keep that open
Mhm.
for the entrance of the building.
And I think to the garden wall idea too, I think we can develop, we talked about the trees, but I think there could be lower shrubs and stuff planted in this area to kind of get that lower wall feeling there also.
right. I also like the fact, Kurt, that you've tried to put as much green space as you can on the back of the building, on the side of East Main, and in the front there, obviously for plantings and landscaping, and trying not to fill it so much with building.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts. I love Tom's ideas about adding some Victorian elements. I think that would make it fit more with the residences nearby. And obviously, I'm not part of the planning board and don't, that's out of my realm, but just, what I would like to see as a fellow villager is, some Victorian-like elements, on the outside, some details that would make it fit more.
Yeah.
All right. Fred, anything, any thoughts you have that we haven't mentioned? Okay.
Pretty good with it.
All right. Karen, Danielle, anything that you think we should bring up or discuss before we move on, since we can't take any action specifically on this?
Did you all receive a formal request by the planning board to give consent to them being the lead agency?
Oh, yes.
Talked about it, if Amanda does have those requests, we can make a motion now.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Or
This way we get
have-
that moving forward. We have to move forward on whatever we can tonight. So, all right. I think it's okay if we give the planning board lead agency status. Can I have a motion to give the planning board lead agency status on this particular project so that they can go through a seeker evaluation? Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor of giving them lead agency status, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have a unanimous vote on that.
So when is the submission date for the next meeting? Sorry to put you on the spot.
You're fine, that's why I brought everything, I brought my planning board proposal for March, the application date is March 11th.
And when do you anticipate the 30-day county review of the proposed local law?
It runs just after the next meeting. I'm hoping we get comments prior to.
Right, just after which next meeting?
There's a meeting on Monday, the 2nd, and I think it runs to like the 6th.
So we have an answer possibly by,
Yeah, so you would know what the county said, and then, and then there's an opportunity for the village to vote following the county's response?
There has to be a public hearing,
Mm-hmm.
so if we can move forward with that, we anticipate to do that, so yes, so I think it's either happening in the 1st or 2nd meeting of March. But again,
There's no guarantee, but at our next meeting,
No, I know.
hopefully
I'm
we
just
can.
trying to figure out where we land with the submission date for this meeting. So, but it sounds like there may not be a finality on the subject of parking before the 10th, right? So I don't know if it just, I leave it to you as to whether you would want to make a submission at all,
like,
because.
if we need to get our site plan brought up to a level now that we had previously
Right.
for the new submission, but if there's a hiccup, I don't want to waste more time
Yeah.
into creating that plan. If there's a
Right.
problem with not getting the variance if we need it, and
Yeah,
how that falls in. So,
right.
So I guess we just need to wait to see when we hear back from the county and
I think it's up to the applicant clearly, but if they're looking for submitting all variances at once that they potentially need, and not having to amend it.
that may be a safer bet for you, Kurt, is to submit for variances even if they're not currently known to be needed, just in case they are? Would
Well,
that-
he
Well,
did.
that's what
He
we've
did.
done.
He did.
Okay, including.
So we have that as preemptively kind of submitting
Got it.
that. So, but I guess you can't give a variance for something that's not in the code. That's what we're
Right.
gonna get ahead of. So we can-
Exactly, okay.
Right, and I guess more immediately to advertise for a variance that's not complicit with the code is
Right,
not,
right.
you know.
So we have to wait before we
Yeah.
have the public hearing so that we can alert
So the
public.
only
as-
options he has is to either get the variances that he's okay with, and then come back and amend for the parking, or wait and do it all at once.
No, it's all one action, so you
Yeah.
wouldn't segment it out at
Okay.
this point. But I like your thinking
Yeah,
about
I
strategy.
appreciate it, yes, but-
I think,
Think it outside the
mean,
box.
Yeah, hey,
you'll go to the planning board the second week of March, and I guess, are you planning to submit a more advanced engineered plan in advance of that, or you're,
I guess fingers crossed, we'll,
right?
go ahead with it, forge ahead and take the chance to do the full site plan.
Because in either case, you would seek a variance for the
Yeah,
parking.
yes.
Right, so, yeah, so you could submit to the planning board, go to the planning board, and then they'll have declared themselves lead agency, having gotten this consent,
Right.
and then you could submit in April
Okay.
for the zoning board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll do what we can.
As fast
I
as we can do
appreciate
it.
We're trying to work to get this.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
sort of weird spot right now,
Yeah,
so.
understood.
Okay, but,
Thank you.
but thank you for your input. I think, it sounds good if we can move this thing forward and
Mhm.
take into consideration what you've spoken about tonight and do that.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you for your presentation. You need a,
I'm not moving.
I know, you need a reset. You want to sit down and we'll call you back up again? Rest those weary legs. Okay, it is now time to move on to our next project, also a Kurt project, which is the Arch Street project. This lot historically had been attached to the Dutcher House building, and there was an arch
There was.
like at the second or third story level that connected to a building that was on this empty lot now, and that's why I guess that was called Arch Street from way back.
Here's an old postcard. You don't quite catch the building, but there's the arch that went over the street.
Wow,
So that went across
that's the arch.
from Dutcher House.
So it looks like
This-
only the first level was open.
Oh, interesting,
You
okay.
drove under it, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll get it back for you. Well, yeah.
I think it was a ballroom, might have been.
I don't want to get offended, you can show them.
Oh, it's already down this way. I'm sorry.
It's only because I heard her say something.
Uh-oh. Danielle, did we, should we have done? Should we have done?
feelings
It
are
takes a
hurt.
lot? All right, we're gonna try to work on it. We have to find the buttons to push. Anyhow, we'll get this back. And what is the name of the road behind Dutcher right now?
You're talking about where
Sorry.
Chamberlain is?
If you take Arch Street from Charles Coleman back, or I guess it would be,
That's over.
What's that,
Oak.
right?
Yeah.
apparently I was looking at some old drawings, Oak Street used to go completely behind Dutcher and connect to West Main.
They used to go.
Right now, there's a stairway.
Quick Stop used to be a pass-through into the Kane House.
What are you?
Wow.
Yeah, and then they just stuck a little gas station at the end of it and blocked it off for their parking. And that used to be, that was like a whole developed area, their parking lot was like a riding ring, and it was amusement area, it was a big great lawn.
There was an old gazebo back there, which they emulated with the Greens gazebo, apparently.
And I think, to our point of what we spoke about last time, this is also in the B1 district, and I think that the urban regulations apply to this much more appropriately, because this is a downtown, it's kind of regularly
Right.
set up, and I think that that's the intent of the B1 urban
Right.
regulations to kind of fit
Right.
into this idea.
And I have a
So-
quick question before you begin. Karen, maybe you could help me out here. What is it that specifically triggers the urban regulations? Is there like a trigger point that's really clearly marked?
So yeah, the zoning code has a section in it that says urban regulations applicability. And, you know, don't quote me verbatim, but major subdivisions, certificate of occupancy and building permits in the B1, and then enlargements.
Site plan, too.
Yeah, well, site plan's not specifically
Yeah,
listed, but
but-
yeah. Then like, you know, reworking of an existing building. And then the last one, I can't remember. There's 3 bullets. Yep. Did you want to show that picture to Danielle and the new attorney? I don't want them to feel left out.
It's actually over here, so this went over Arch Street, and I think it was the ballroom, that's the Dutcher.
Should all sign that postcard, send it somewhere and say, wishing you were here. I don't know, who should we send it to? All right, Kurt, have you done enough of a reset during that little chat we all?
So this site has some history with the planning board, zoning boards. I don't know if any of you were around when we went through the last go around, so this is back 2007, 2008.
I was a member of the board. I don't remember this,
Okay.
though. I'm not sure if I was at that meeting or I've just erased it from my brain accidentally, but please refresh us.
Okay, so I think it first came before the planning board in 2006. So the owner, Jose Lopez, had the site. He wanted to do a commercial building with apartments on the second and third floors. He got approval for that. Then Bob Marini bought the property, and he came back in and enlarged the building, because the site is very small.
Yeah.
It's like 2,100 square feet, so it's very tiny, and it's infill, basically. So it was a building one way, it was developed at one point on the other end of the arch building.
Right.
So it did have a building there, so it's not, virgin land. So I don't know if it was fire, if it was torn down, I'm not sure what the history of why it's not there now, but, so that building there. We have I think there was another building here also. This is the dental practice here, which is under the same ownership as this lot here currently.
Oh, how long has it been under the same ownership, do you know?
I think they bought, after Bob Marie passed away, I think in like 2018 or so, 2018, 2019,
Okay,
it was purchased by the current owner, who is the dentist, Dr. Navi, in this
okay.
building here. So this did get site plan approval in 2008, and with that, there were 3 variances that were given. One for site coverage, lot coverage, one for building coverage, and one for floor area ratio.
Right. And unlike site plans, which currently under our code can be approved and don't expire, any zoning variances, you
Well-
have to start development within a year
Yeah.
and they run out within 2
So
years.
that's where there's a little bit of history with it, because the planning board had the owners come back every year to renew their site plan approval.
Right,
So every year when a year was up, they had them come in and say, economic conditions, I can't build a building right now.
Right,
blah, blah,
right.
blah, whatever. So it was renewed yearly up until like 2018 or 19.
so the planning
Yes.
board had them renew the site plan approval every
Yes,
year.
and in their mind, the site plan approval had everything attached to it. Now, if you gave the site plan approval with variances, that's how they were doing it, with variance.
They meaning the current owners?
No.
Meaning,
The village at the
If the
time.
village, yeah.
Oh,
If
okay.
you came before the planning board, got your site plan approval renewed per se,
right.
the variances that were part of that site plan approval came with it also. We were never sent back to the zoning board. It was always just come in, renew your site plan approval.
Right, right.
You're good. Then we came in like 2018, 2019, they said, oh, your site plan never expired, so therefore you don't need to come back to us anymore.
Yeah, the
So-
site plan doesn't, but the zoning
Right. So I think
variances do.
That's
Yeah,
a current thing that's been interpreted to say, for this particular project,
right,
say those variances are no longer valid.
sure.
So we have a site plan that is valid, but it doesn't have the variances that are needed to create the site plan.
Right.
So why we're here before you tonight is to reinstate those variances so that we can go ahead with the site plan. And also, I did include also, because when this was approved, I don't think the urban regulations were applied to this project. They probably should have been. So I'm also, like our last project, our property line is actually out in the middle of the sidewalk. So we don't want to build a building out in the middle of the sidewalk. So we want to align it with the face of the building to the north.
I think that's a wise choice, Kurt.
So that's the idea there. So we need a variance there. And also we're trying to keep the building a foot off Arch Street because you really can't put a footing in on, you can't build the face of the building on 0 and put spread footing out into the right of way. So we're
Yeah.
trying to keep the building a foot in from Arch Street.
It's also going to help with visibility because you've
Yeah,
got some
also-
parked cars there. People are
Yeah.
going to be making a forced right turn.
And we're also creating a sidewalk that would go along from the edge of pavement to the building, so that allows us to put that sidewalk, along the other side of Arch Street.
Mhm.
So those, I think, are the variances that we would require, the 3 that were
I'm sorry,
part
can
of
you
the
re-
original site plan, and then the urban regulations setbacks for frontage.
So could you repeat those for me again, the 3 variances that you
Karen's
did?
got some other ideas. too.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you answer me first, and then Karen, we'll have you chime right in, otherwise I won't be able to follow this back and forth. So the 3 variances that you're currently going to be looking to get are?
Yeah, so lot coverage,
Okay,
75% is permitted. It would be increased to 98%, which is what it was with the site plan approval that's in place, so
Okay.
98%. So we need an increase there. Building coverage, 75% is permitted, we need an increase to 80%. And then floor area ratio, 2.0 is permitted, we're requesting 2.4 as a floor area ratio on that. And then the other setbacks would be approximately 3.5 feet back from the property line to the face of the building, and then 1 foot from Arch Street from the property line to the face of the building. We will have also on this one, just,
so there'd be 5 variances on this.
yeah.
Kind of.
So this actually does come forward of the face of the building, these 2 little Oriole bays, we'll call them.
Oh, those
They
are-
when we developed this in 2008, they wanted us to pick up ideas from the Dutcher House and kind of bring them across. So that's what
Yeah,
this
yeah.
building design.
Those are
was
nice
based
little
on.
details on that
So this
front
is-
there.
This is gonna be a very expensive building to build, because it's gonna be a whole brick to match the Dutcher House.
Yeah.
And it's not a very big building, so it's gonna be a lot of investment into this building. to
Is
make it
brick a
work.
very expensive?
Well, and why we were before the planning board currently is, it was approved for 1 2-bedroom apartment on the 2nd floor, 1 2-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor. We went back to the planning board to amend that as we started this whole thing, basically,
Mhm.
to ask for 2 1-bedroom apartments on each floor. So 4 apartments, but 1 bedroom, so no increase in bedroom count, but increase in units from 1 per floor to 2 per floor on the 2nd and 3rd floors.
Got it. Okay.
The garden wall, I think you'd need the variance for that too, right? I mean, I know, but
If we
Well,
could throw it in there,
it's
Well-
very vague.
Well, I mean,
and
only-
Every
I-
time we don't meet the front,
I think you're
I
right.
think we need the
Kurt-
garden
Kurt,
wall.
even though building right
That's
after the
how
front would mean
I
you're
guess we
taking
need-
up the sidewalk.
We need this little bit here, I guess, but is that 90%?
it's so non-specific,
Right.
but it basically
But if we need
says,
it, let's throw it in there.
it basically says if you can't
Yeah.
build
To
to
the
the
front.
property line,
Right.
you have to put a
we
garden
need a
wall. It
little
doesn't
bit-
tell you, like, there's
Yeah.
no threshold or how
Right.
tall the wall's supposed to be or
Right.
anything. But yes, I would just throw
And
it in
as you
there.
know from coming before the board before, the garden wall thing has often been something that we overlook, or I shouldn't say overlook, but that we approve giving a variance for because visually it just doesn't seem to fit. So I wouldn't stress out too much about that, just that's my feeling about how the board will probably go.
Let's cover everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's do it.
I mean, numerically, this seems like a lot because there's 6 variances on this teeny little lot, but
But I think it's
understood one.
unique in that because it is such a tiny little infill lot, that it is very specific to this lot, and I think that there's argument why there's hardship here. To put a building on there to create that streetscape coming down Charles Coleman, that is a void. So we'd like to fill that in and create that connection between the big Dutcher house
Right.
as we go north on Charles Coleman.
Oh, you were about to ask something?
I have a few more things to say, but go ahead.
I just had a quick question. I mean, the Dutcher house obviously has a certain height. Visually, it would seem nice to me if this building was not as high, and I don't imagine it is. But
No.
what is the height of this building compared to the Dutcher
I
house?
think the Dutcher house is like, it's quite a bit, well, it's quite a bit.
It's like 3.5 stories, 4
Yeah, and
stories.
this is 3 stories here, so it
Okay.
is smaller, and I
And it's
think
below,
it's below, and if I'm correct, the dental building next door was designed to have a second floor on it, which I think if that could happen somewhere down the road would be really nice to kind of create that height coming down.
So right now, we've got the Dutcher house, and then the design of
Right.
this is a step
And
down, and then
that's a one-story building, and
the
then you kind of go into the 2-story.
right, then it
other
kind of bumps
buildings
up
that
and
go
down
up.
again with some residences, old residences that are now
Yeah.
business locations.
This-
Okay.
This might be a little premature, but what are we looking at for parking?
Okay, so with this site plan approval, the planning board waived the parking, on-site parking for the use. They waived 11 parking spaces. So,
Now, pending the new law, that obviously is going to possibly change.
well, we're waiting for,
Yeah. So you would be required to have 11 spaces if,
for
I think,
current.
actually we'd be, yeah, I think 9 we need 6 and 4, so I think 5 and 4. We need 9 now, we were granted 11 waiver. We need 9 with the current application. If we reduce the unit count to 1 2-bedroom apartment for each floor, per the original approval, that would reduce the parking even further. Because you only need 1.5 per unit.
And where are you coming up with those spaces?
It was waived off-site. You did not need there was originally, when it was first looked at, there were 2 on-site parking spaces at the rear. There was originally 2 parking spaces in here, but the planning board felt that the building was so small that those 2 parking spaces were pretty negligible, so you could put them anywhere else.
and this was back in 2006 when this,
That was 2006, yes, and then 2008, it was approved with no on-site parking. I got
Right.
a waiver for the parking.
all right.
So that's
So
a
it sound-
TBD.
TBD, yes. So it sounds to me like, I'm just doing a rough count here and I might be off, that this, this teeny little lot that you want to develop may need as many as 7 variances, which,
Well, yes, but I think we need to get a reading from the village attorneys too on the parking waiver status on that.
Yeah, I have some other questions about the variances.
Okay.
So what about the lot depth? According to the urban regs.
Okay.
I don't remember what the requirement is, but did you check that?
I didn't, but let's see. Don't have the survey information on here. So I'm not sure the depth, oh, it's 70 feet. The building is
Okay.
70 feet deep. So we're
Okay.
good.
Is-
Flat 84.
Oh, is it 84 the number?
I
Okay,
believe
yeah,
84
I think
is
you're
the
right.
maximum
Yep,
depth. We're
yep.
70 feet.
Okay,
but you couldn't be any further anyhow because the lot ends right where you.
No, we don't want it, we have to be under 84.
yeah, it's
Okay.
a maximum of, yeah.
But how deep is the lot?
Like another, probably 12 feet or so. So it's
Okay,
not very deep.
so you got like 96 feet total depth, and of which.
Yeah, but we can only go up to 84 feet, maximum depth for a building. That's what Karen's getting at.
That's
So
the
we're
urban
under,
reg.
at 70, we're under the maximums, we're okay there.
Okay,
And then what is,
There's
the
a lot
height of
going on
each
here.
story has to be a minimum of 13 feet? Do you comply with that?
Minimum?
Isn't that what it,
No, I think it's maximum of 13 feet.
Okay, well, it's 13, that's, that much I know.
Yeah, so I think it's maximum of 13.
All right,
before.
well, I'll double check that as well.
So
You can
we're-
double check it
we're
as
under
well.
that.
Okay. And then I was just gonna say, you know, it might benefit the board to know how this development relates to the adjoining developments with regard to lot coverage, building coverage, and FAR. So, I mean, a quick look at the village aerial, and it's like, these probably must all be blowing that 75% number.
You know, I mean, the Dutcher House, I know they have the parking area in the back, but like as you move further up where McKinney and Doyle is, have good tidings, I think those are like right on the property. I don't think there's any kind of green space left over for those, I don't believe, so. You know, I think this, it's a downtown situation. So, but to Karen's point, we can
Yeah.
look at that and see what the.
Yeah, I mean, it's
idea
just
would be.
worth, yeah.
Sure, I mean, we could do like, you know, if we do Google Earth or whatever, you get property lines and kind of just get a feel for where each of these buildings falls, you can kind of get a feel for how the downtown is developed.
I have a question for you, Kurt, about height, basically the height of each story. I know that when the Tomasettis built their building across from CVS, they were looking to pick up, and I think you probably, I think you represented that. They were looking to pick up on some of the similar height issues that the Dutcher House had characteristically, and although they were trying to copy it, they didn't want to be limited in how many stories, and they wanted to emulate the height of each of the stories of the Dutcher House. Now, in this case, this building is especially close to the Dutcher House, being right across Arch Street. Are you matching, or have you not matched? It doesn't matter. I'm just wondering, how close are you to the story height?
We have a drawing, and I can bring it to you next time. We actually, I think, have a streetscape drawn on that thing. This is unique in that you don't want to create like a Flatiron building here, so it's this narrow tower that sits by itself next to a one-story.
Right.
And the Dutcher House is such a huge mass. I think we have to play with that.
Well, I'm just thinking about like the first level,
Yeah.
at least kind of matching,
We do
so that
have
the
a
second
rendering of
floor
that.
kind of is the same, you know, visual
Yeah.
line. Is that something that you've incorporated into part of your design? And I would actually love to see a frontage drawing of,
Yeah.
of the
But it's
surrounding
also
buildings.
lower. So when you're going down, that property is a lot lower than Dutcher.
A little bit. I
Yeah.
don't think it's a whole, I mean, you do walk down across Arch Street on
Absolutely
an
do.
angle, so, yeah.
Yeah,
So it does drop a little bit, yes.
right, so that first floor and the Dutcher would never match because it's,
Correct.
the gradient's different.
Yeah. But to your point, I think I have it done already. I can bring it to you to take a look.
Oh, I'm just, I don't know what my,
Just curious of how it looks.
yeah, I just want to see if, my thought is I want it to kind of visually look like it's matching
Yeah.
and gradually
I'd
going from the
love to
Dutcher
have
House
a
height to
streetscape view of
the,
that.
yeah, I'd love to see that in one of our next meetings. That'd be great.
That's something the planning board did look at when we were getting the approvals of the first time around. So I know we created that when we were doing it.
Okay, great. That'd be wonderful. Thank
I
you.
just want to clarify, Kurt, it would really be the planning board that would be looking at those parking waivers again, not the village. You know,
Correct, I know,
I
but
just want to make
I
a,
think at the last
distinction.
planning board meeting, it was requested that to have legal counsel look at where the parking waivers sit, because we think that they're part of the site plan and therefore are still valid, but I think we just wanted to put a tack in that. and say
okay, I just wanted to gain some clarity.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I think I've asked all the questions that I had, Kurt. Thank you for addressing them. Anybody else have any additional questions that we haven't necessarily brought up?
Karen's looks like.
Karen and Danielle, any additional legal or planner elements that you think we should?
Where are
talk-
we on seeker on this? Did you?
So the planning board was declared lead
Yeah.
agency on the 10th.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Okay, good. Okay,
I brought it.
On the
Thank you.
10th of,
February.
yes.
This was for the Arch Street. Remember you came in the office and signed it?
yes, but actually, we really should make a motion on that as well. That's a board business element. And although
Yeah.
I signed it, we do have to vote on that, apparently. Am
Yeah,
I
I think
correct?
that was, Sarah had made that comment.
Yeah, there's no problem in ratifying
Yeah,
the
yeah, so
signature.
I'd like to make a motion that this board approve lead agency status to the planning board for this project on Arch Street so they have the authority to do a secret determination.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now it has been ratified.
Um,
Trying to get everything done we can for you,
thank
Kurt.
Thank you, but,
Don't want any holdups.
just kind of like with the last project, I know some of these on paper look like they're large asks for variances, but I think given the site and the specificity of this unique site, we're maybe trying to do a good urban infill project, and then thoughts of the board are kind of on variances. Again, not holding anything, I just want to get a comfort level when I speak to the owner to say, do we want to go forward with this or not?
Right. Gee, we have 7 here. Garden wall, I have no problem with, because building that thing out and making a wall in the middle of the sidewalk makes no sense to me. Let me see, lot coverage, 75% to 98%. A few of these I'm gonna have to think about, Kurt. I think I probably don't have much of a problem with most of these asks, even though we have 7 asks here. One of the things I am somewhat concerned about, and you know, there's been a problem on some other projects too, is parking, and I know that parking was waived in that one site plan. I know that we're very likely going to have new regulations for zoning requiring certain parking. I'd like to talk about that more with the rest of the board at our next meetings and see what the public has to say too. It happens to be an area where parking is going to be a little challenging for the tenants as well.
Well, I mean,
So.
hopefully we won't need a variance, the planning board granted the waiver, so that wasn't even a variance issue at that point. That was a waiver granted by the planning board, so hopefully that is still current, and we can just move that forward. If you have to provide 11 parking spaces here, you can get 11 parking spaces probably on the site, that's it.
I know, but I know, but I think that, I don't know, I'd have to talk also with Danielle.
I like the development of this site. I think it's a neat opportunity. I think the development of a downtown like this, you're gonna bring in different types of tenants that are going to be more transient in nature, that are gonna use the train. I would look at that apartment and say, there's nowhere to park my boat. I can't do it.
Right.
You're gonna get people that are single families that commute on the train. You've got people that could have physical limitations and don't drive.
Right.
You're gonna find enough tenants that are gonna work. A grandma's gonna be there. She doesn't drive, and we have assisted stuff. So there are, it's not, 150 unit building and there's no parking for any of them. Emergency vehicles can go almost, around all the property.
Yeah, at least on the 2 sides.
And so there could be some leniency for, a perspective that's okay.
And I will mention, I mentioned it to the planning board as well. There's 13 parking spaces that are part of the on-site parking for this dental office. They're only open 2 days a week, and they're very rarely ever using those spaces.
So that could be a card you might want to have in your pocket.
That was the idea. I don't want to open up a whole can of worms. with
Sure,
site
sure.
plan approvals, but the concept was there that possibly some of these parking spaces could be used when needed and when available.
Sure.
Oh, I think even if
That sounds like a
I think you
good
should get that
solution.
in the works regardless, of
Yeah.
how it goes, because
Yeah,
that's.
but that was approved for that building.
Yeah,
And that's the
but,
point.
yeah.
Yes, and that was the point that
Yeah, you
and
can't-
we
you
also
can't-
ties our hands if they sell the building, so it
Sure.
all was kind of almost as a courtesy type thing.
Yeah.
You could park there if necessary, but it wasn't dedicated for that use, and because those 13 spaces are required
That's a
for
slippery
this
slope
use.
there.
So,
You're borrowing sites from their site plan to match yours,
kind
but
of like CVS does,
it's allotted for in some regard, but down the road, we could have an issue because someone wants to change.
So it
Yeah.
was, it was a thought.
Yeah,
So-
I just want to be clear that there's been no real decision
No,
or
not at all.
commitment from the
No.
planning board on anything related to parking. Right now, the next step is to determine the legitimacy of the waiver that was granted and whether
Right.
it can live on. And following that, then,
And I
That's
think
a-
it makes sense, because we do go from the Dutcher house to then very small, and then goes back up. So it would just make sense to have more downtown.
Yeah.
Then, like, I like this project better than the one-offs in the middle of a neighborhood, right? Where, to me, it's not as, ideal, and I live in the village, so I like that this is downtown, this is
Yeah.
what it is.
And I think for parking also, I think generally, so if you park on the street parking, you can go to 5 or 6 different businesses. You can go get your coffee McKinley, you can go in the antique shop, grab a book, you can come to whatever might be on the first floor of this. So there's kind of that, you're parking in one spot for 5 or 6 possibly
Right.
different spaces. Not gonna be there all day. And there's merchant parking offsite available. off-site. So I think for the commercial aspect of that, I think there's good argument that maybe that doesn't need to be on-site, so.
Okay, great.
Well, there's a lot of, the commercial, they don't have designated spots.
Correct, so this
So
kind
why
of
would they-
falls in
right.
that, yeah. so
Absolutely.
Get a good business in there, and, get more people walking
Like, I
out.
don't, just, everybody else can go park down there.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you. That's all I've got as far as questions. Anybody else have anything? Okay.
All right, no, good.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you all. Have a great night.
You too. All right. Amanda, do we have any other business for
I
tonight?
have nothing,
Nothing.
nothing.
All right. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Can I have a second?
Second?
All
Who
in
made the
favor?
motion?
Right.
It was simultaneous. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.